Never let a stranger hand you an envelope at your own engagement party. Because what's inside might just destroy your entire future before you even say, I do. This happened to a guy named Jake, and his story is going to make you question every single person you think you know. It starts like a fairy tale, turns into a nightmare, and ends with a mystery that still doesn't have an answer. You're about to see why some secrets don't stay buried, and why one envelope can change absolutely everything. Jake had been with his fiancée Mia for 3 years, and in his mind everything was perfect. They met at a coffee shop. She spilled her drink on his laptop. He laughed it off. She offered to pay for the repairs. He said no. She insisted on buying him a coffee instead. And just like that, they were hooked. 3 years later, Jake was ready to propose. He saved up for 6 months to buy a ring. He recreated their first date. He got down on one knee at that same coffee shop. Mia cried, said yes, and the entire shop burst into applause. It was the kind of moment you see in movies. The kind where you think, yeah, these two are going to make it. The engagement party was supposed to be the beginning of their new life. They invited close friends, family, co-workers, about 60 people in total. Rented out a nice rooftop downtown. Fairy lights everywhere. Good music, open bar. Everyone was laughing, dancing, taking pictures. Jake remembered looking across the room at Mia and thinking, this is it. This is my person. And then everything changed. Around 9 o'clock, Jake noticed a woman he didn't recognize. She was standing near the edge of the party, away from everyone. Dressed in black. Not formal, not casual. Just there. She wasn't eating, wasn't drinking, wasn't talking to anyone. She was just watching. And the whole time, she was holding a white envelope. Jake figured she was a friend of Mia's that he hadn't met yet. Or maybe someone's +1 who didn't know anyone. He almost walked over to introduce himself. But before he could, the woman moved. She walked straight toward him, weaving through the crowd like she knew exactly where he was going to be. She stopped right in front of him. Didn't smile, didn't say hello, just held out the envelope. Jake asked, "Are you a friend of Mia's?" The woman didn't answer. She just nodded toward the envelope, turned around, and walked away. By the time Jake looked up from the envelope, she was already gone. Disappeared into the stairwell. No name, no explanation, just gone. Jake stood there confused, holding this plain white envelope with his name written on the front. Just Jake, in handwriting he didn't recognize. He looked around for Mia, but she was across the room laughing with her sister. He almost threw the envelope away. Thought it was probably a card from someone who couldn't make it, or a wedding ad, or some prank from one of his buddies. But something told him to open it. So he did. Right there in the middle of his engagement party, surrounded by people he loved, holding a glass of champagne in one hand and an envelope in the other. He slid his finger under the seal, pulled out a single piece of paper and started reading, and his entire world fell apart. The note was short. 4 sentences. Jake still has it. Keeps it in a drawer in his nightstand, folded in half, edges worn down from reading it so many times. Here's what it said. Mia isn't who you think she is. Ask her about the summer before you met. Look in the box under her bed. And don't say I didn't warn you. Jake's heart stopped. He read it again. And again. His hands started shaking. He looked across the room at Mia, who was now taking a shot with her cousins. Laughing, completely unaware. He looked back at the note. Then at the stairwell where the woman had disappeared. Then back at Mia. For the next hour, Jake pretended everything was fine. He smiled. He hugged people. He made small talk with his future father-in-law. But his mind was racing. What summer? What box? Who was that woman? And why would a complete stranger show up at his engagement party? To warn him about his own fiancée? He didn't sleep that night. Mia stayed at her place because they wanted to save the magic for the wedding night. Jake lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the note on his nightstand, the envelope on the floor. He kept trying to talk himself out of it. It's nothing. Someone's messing with you. Maybe it's an ex-boyfriend trying to ruin things. Maybe it's a prank. But the next morning, he couldn't help himself. He drove to Mia's apartment while she was at work. He had a key. He let himself in. He stood in her bedroom, staring at her bed. And then he got on his knees, reached underneath, and felt around. His fingers hit something, a box. A small wooden box, maybe the size of a shoebox, hidden way in the back against the wall. He pulled it out. It was old, scratched, and it wasn't locked. Jake sat on the floor of his fiancée's bedroom, opened the box, and found things that still give him nightmares. Inside were pictures. Not of Mia's family or her friends or her trips. Pictures of a little girl. A girl who looked exactly like Mia but younger, maybe 8 or 9 years old. And in every picture, the girl was with a woman Jake had never seen before. The same woman. Dark hair, tired eyes, sad smile. In every single photo. At the bottom of the box was a letter, handwritten, dated 4 years ago, which was 1 year before Jake met Mia. The letter was short, but it said enough. It said, "Mia, I'm sorry. I can't keep pretending. You know the truth. If you ever want to talk, I'll be here. But I can't come to you anymore. It hurts too much. Love, Mom." But here's the thing, Mia had told Jake her mother died when she was 12. Car accident. She told him that story on their 3rd date. She cried. He held her hand. He believed her. He had no reason not to. So why was there a letter from Mia's mother, written just 1 year before they met, saying she couldn't pretend anymore? Jake didn't confront Mia right away. He put the box back exactly where he found it. He drove home. He sat in his car for 3 hours. And then he did what anyone in his situation would do. He started digging. He found Mia's old social media accounts from before they met. He found pictures of her at a beach house, tagged with a woman named Carol. He found comments that said, "Miss you, Mom," under photos from 6 years ago. 6 years ago, not 12. The timeline didn't match. None of it matched. He also found something else, a news article, from a small town 2 hours away. Dated 5 years ago. Headline, "Local woman pleads guilty to fraud. Identity theft." The woman's name was Carol Morrison. The same Carol from the beach house photos. The same woman in the box pictures. Mia's mother, according to the article. Carol Morrison had spent 3 years using fake identities to steal from elderly couples. She posed as a caretaker, gained their trust, and drained their savings. One couple lost over $200,000. Another lost their home. Carol was sentenced to 7 years in prison. But here's where it gets worse. Mia wasn't just Carol's daughter. According to court records, Mia helped. She wasn't charged because she was a minor at the time. But witness statements said, Mia would call the victims pretending to be a social worker, asking for personal information. She was part of it. The whole time, she was part of it. Jake finally confronted Mia 2 days later. He drove to her apartment, sat her down on the couch, and placed the envelope on the coffee table. He didn't say anything. He just pointed at it. Mia picked it up, read the note, and her face turned white. Not pale, white, like she had seen a ghost. She didn't deny it. She didn't yell or cry or make excuses. She just stared at the note and whispered, "She found me." That was the moment Jake realized he had never known Mia at all. The woman he proposed to, the woman he wanted to marry, was not real. The dead mother was alive. The past was a lie. And the identity he fell in love with was a mask she had built to escape her old life. Mia admitted everything over the next 2 hours. Her mother went to prison. Mia changed her name, moved to a new city, and started over. She told everyone her mother died because it was easier than explaining the truth. She met Jake. She fell in love. And she kept lying because she was terrified that if he knew who she really was, he would leave. Jake did leave. He walked out that night and never looked back. He canceled the wedding, sold the ring, and moved to a different state within a month. He didn't tell his family why. He just said things didn't work out. But here's the part that still haunts him. The woman in black, the one who handed him the envelope. He never found out who she was. He tried to track her down for months. Checked security footage from the venue. Asked every guest. Posted on social media. Nothing. It was like she never existed. The only clue he ever got came 6 months later. He received a postcard in the mail. No return address. No signature. Just 2 words written on the back. "You're welcome." Some people think it was one of Carol's victims, seeking revenge by destroying Mia's new life. Others think it was a private investigator hired by the family who lost their home. A few people even think it was Mia's mother, writing from prison, trying to stop her daughter from making the same mistakes. Jake doesn't know. He stopped looking. He told me that sometimes the scariest thing isn't finding the truth. It's realizing that you might never know who saved you or why. Stories like this one don't come with tidy endings. There's no final plot twist where everything makes sense. Just a guy, an empty apartment, and a white envelope that changed everything. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the people we love are never really who we think they are. And maybe, just maybe, the strangers we ignore at parties are the ones who end up saving our lives. If this story made you feel something, You need to watch the video popping up on your screen right now. Trust me, it gets even darker.